This is the Clear Money Talk podcast, offering up creative solutions for your retirement future through education, choice, transparency, and empathy. Now, your host, CEO and founder of Clear Financial Partners, Tim Claremont.
Hello, and welcome. My name is Tim Claremont. I'm the CEO and founder of Clear Financial Partners, and this is Clear Money Talk. We are excited to teach you something smart about money. That's what we're here to do. And as always, I'm here with my co-host, Tyler Andrews.
Thank you, Tim. We're in the podcast studio recording a podcast.
We are.
We're excited.
We always smile when we're doing this. It's such a good time. I'm feeling good. I fell off the wagon recently as it relates to working out. I haven't been working out very much for a long time, for months. I'm on a 2-day streak right now. I've got 2 days in a row. It's like it's an early streak moment, but I'm feeling pretty good.
Good for you, because this is the hardest time of the year. As it gets darker and colder, that it becomes easier to say, I'm going to skip today's workout in the morning.
There were a lot of rationalization moments going through my head as I was rationalizing. I could just get a little more sleep. I could not do this workout right. At the end of the day, it was what it was. Got up, did the workout.
Good for you.
That's actually a lot of what it's like when it comes to saving money as well. When you think about all the energy that you have to put into, trying to save that money, as otherwise, I could spend it today and have fun. But instead, if you save it, it's worth, usually worth more later. That's the expectation based on the way you're investing it and everything else. But fundamentally, delayed gratification is, generally speaking, not the easiest thing to do on a daily basis.
No, it's not. Like, you want to eat that donut now or save it for later?
I know.
I'm going to eat that donut.
Ultimately, the rationalization that allowed me to get up this morning was I ate an ice cream cone from Salt and Straw last night, and I was like, I cannot do that and not work out this morning. I needed the ice cream cone last night. Actually made me work out this morning. So,
it's like the carrot dangling in front of the
a little bit. It was real. Moment.
But it's like reverse of that. So instead of trying to get it, you already had it. Now you got to earn
guilt.
it. Good for you.
You got it.
Whatever works.
Let's talk about our question for the day. For those of you that are giving it a listen, I'm excited to talk to you about this. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ties right into this. What's verbatim? What do we got?
Verbatim topic of the day: the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. Is it realistic?
The FIRE movement. So if you haven't heard about this, obviously
you're about
the acronym FIRE, F-I-R-E, financial independence, retire early, is this idea that, hey, let's just retire at a really, really young age. I always remember that there was a commercial where there were these parents and they were at a college graduation, and the kid's graduating from college, and he goes to the parents, and the parents say, hey, what are you going to do? And he says, I'm going to retire. And I was like, it was obviously tongue in cheek in the commercial. Imagining you're 21, 22 years old, graduating college, and you're just going to go jump right to retirement. Clearly, there's some need to earn money somewhere in there that's probably going to come into play. But if you could shrink the amount of time, the amount of years that you need to earn money before you retire, you might be able to actually retire at a young age. But it's not just a function of saving well, and it's not just a function of investing well. I would say most of the success that I've noticed related to any kind of a FIRE strategy, financial independence, retire early, really comes down to being extremely frugal. It's about how low can you go and live your life. If you can live your life on, very, very little money, then financial independence, retire early might be realistic for you. But it really, I think it's probably 70% spending less and 30% saving enough and investing it well to be positioned to be successful at retiring early. And by retiring early, and most of the time people are talking like in their 30s. Like if you're retiring at 20, if you graduate college at 22 or get out of high school at 18 or something like that, and you're trying to save some money for a period of maybe 10 years, get yourself into your late 20s, early 30s, and then theoretically retire, shrinking that time frame of work down to as little as 10 years. There's just not a lot of time in there for you to set aside a lot of money. Even if you get a great job and you're making, let's say you're making $150,000 a year at 22 years old, like that's a pretty phenomenal job. And if that's the case, even if you lived on $30,000 a year, maybe you live with your parents even for 10 years, right? You're just socking money away, keeping your expenses as low as possible, saving $100,000 a year for those first 10 years. You'll have saved up maybe $1 million with a little bit of growth. Maybe that's $1.5 million, give or take. And then now you're in your early 30s. Your life expectancy at that point is realistically another 60 to 80 years, because that's how long life expectancy is likely to be for you once you're in your early 30s, and medical technology the way it is. So effectively, what you end up with is, how do I take $1 million or $1.5 million and generate an income stream off of that that's going to last me all the way through until I'm like 100 years old for 70 years? That hasn't been really well studied. So producing income for 70 years is not really part of the typical retirement plan. So, I'm monologuing, Tyler.
It's
in.
good. I'm like jumping in the pool, just like whoop, here we go.
Go for it. How's that go again? Whoop, here we go. I want to hear that. That was good. I like that. There we go. All right, that's fine. We're having a good time.
We have fun. We have fun in here.
Jump in the pool, Tyler. Jump in the pool.
Imagine the splash. As you're talking through this, it just, the more we talk through it, the more it seems increasingly difficult to achieve this, which is tough. And I'm not trying to disencourage anybody by any means. I mean, if you can achieve this and this is your passion and your goal, by all means, we want you to achieve that. But there are definitely some consideration points. And oftentimes, I feel like people, from what I've seen, that are trying to achieve this vision, the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, are probably missing out on key things that aren't being taken into consideration. They're probably just focusing all their time and energy on minimizing debt, saving as much as they can, and trying to live as frugally as they can because like Tip said, that's really how you achieve it. Probably 70% being frugal and spending less and 30% savings. And I think that's probably about a right ratio for people that are trying to achieve this movement.
To be fair, there's that statistic is finger in the wind. Absolutely have no source for that for you. That just feels right to me. So
I don't disagree by any means.
I can't source that for you, but it does. It feels accurate.
Let's use that example you were talking about. $1.5 million, hypothetically, this person saves up by the time they're 30, which if that's you did a good job if you saved up that much money by 30. And then you're living on maybe 2% of that per year to make sure and who knows, it could be less, it could be more than that. We don't know. You're trying to take a reasonable amount of money out of that per year to live off of.
I would say 1.5 to 3 is probably a reasonable range. So 2's right in that spot. So, but let's put some dollars to that. Or you want, so 1.5 to 3% on $1.5 million. So 3% of $1.5 million would be $45,000 a year. 1.5% would be half that, so $22,500 per year. So somewhere between $22,000 and $45,000 a year is what you're drawing off of this theoretical pool of $1.5 million that you've set aside. And that's probably that's what you would need to be looking at spending on that kind of a portfolio in order to try to make it last for 50 to 80 years. No matter how you invest it appropriately, you need to have some kind of cost of living adjustment plan built into place. Stuff's going to cost more when you're 40, 50, 60. As you get older, you need more income to come off that portfolio. So that portfolio, you can't just eat all the earnings. You have to let some of the earnings stay in there and keep growing so that you get raises. Otherwise, you're not going to get any raises later to deal with inflation. Well, fundamentally, if you save $22,000 to $45,000 a year off of a well-managed $1.5 million portfolio at 30 years old, we could probably turn that into something reasonable and actually sustain that sort of a FIRE strategy. How many 30-year-olds do you know that have $1.5 million? I don't know a lot that have that. And then if they do have $1.5 million, how many of them are going to be happy living on $2,000 to $3,000 a month? Like that's another filter. So can it be done? Yes. Is it realistic? Probably not in every definition of the word realistic that I know, but it's possible. And there's always there are always the people out there that are the exceptions to the rule. Like, look, I was a weird kid. We know I was a weird kid, right? I mean, 13 years old, I got my first paycheck. I watched Tom Cruise in The Firm. I read John Grisham's book, and I wanted to be a tax attorney. How many 13-year-olds do you know that want to be a tax attorney?
You're probably one of few, Tim.
I was a weird kid. I get it. And there's probably another weird kid out there at 30 years old that saved up $1.5 million that's happy living on $2,000 a month. And that's the exception to the rule, and that's a wonderful, wonderful story for that person. Does that work for 99% of the people that I've met in my lifetime? Probably not. But it doesn't mean that it can't be done. And let's be real. The FIRE movement at 30 is not the same as the FIRE movement at 40. You got 20 years to save, an extra 10 years less of life expectancy. That gets a lot more feasible. And for some, maybe FIRE at 50 is actually, that is early. It's not 62. It's not 67. It's not Social Security age. If you retire at 50, that's pretty early. Actually, My dad retired at 50. I was happy to
Nice.
see him do
Good for
that.
him,
You know,
Dennis.
he sort of retired. He said he retired, and then he opened a couple of Subways and kind of in his retirement and did
Began
that.
working
and that was,
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was working.
Well, that
again
was
pretty
his
quick,
passion,
but
though, right?
but it was that's what he wanted to do. But I think there are a lot of people I know that were successful enough to retire around 50, and between 50 and 60 is sort of the the sweet spot for early retirement. Traditionally, I would say traditional early retirement between 50 and 60. But I think the FIRE movement's about pre-50. Generally speaking, I think they're thinking that they're going to retire in their 30s and 40s. And the younger you retire, the less realistic it is, the harder it is.
Yeah.
But it can be done. You just have to have the right fact pattern and emotional sentiment.
Yeah. Coming with realistic expectations so that way you don't disappoint yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, because it comes down to also how you're saving, what you're saving into, how you're paying off debts, which debts you're paying off, and so many different factors that everyone's vision of FIRE is going to be different, and that makes it difficult too.
And there are some actual ways that are really important to consider for investing if that is you.
Yes.
If you're the anomaly right now, you're the weird kid, you're probably offended by the fact that I called you a weird kid and you already shut this off. So I'm sorry for that. You're missing out on the good stuff. But if you did stick around and you do happen to fit that fact pattern and you are able to do this financial independence, retire early between 30 and 40, let's say, and you did save up $1 to $3 million and you are comfortable living on maybe $2,000 to $6,000 per month and you're okay with all of those. If that's the case, how you invest your $1.5 to $3 million is a very, very, very big deal. And there are a lot of things that you want to look into and your risk level and your comfortability and everything else. Many of the kinds of accounts that are designed out there, 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, are all designed not to be touched until you're 59 and a half years old. So if you're doing the FIRE strategy, if you want to retire before 59 and a half, you better have a plan in place to access that money in your 30s and your 40s. If you just save that $1.5 million into a 401k in your 20s, and then you think I'm going to retire at 32 and you're ready to go, and you actually meet this scenario, you're going to have some real wake-up moments when you realize that 401k is going to get hit with a 10% penalty tax plus ordinary income taxes if you take that money out before you're 59 and a half years old. There are some age restrictions on certain kinds of accounts. Then there might be some ways to get around it, but they're very restrictive. And generally speaking, if you want to save your money to touch it before you're 59 and a half years old, you probably want to consider some alternatives outside of the 401k world. And that is something that we can assist with. And another thing you might want to think about is the old school annuities, like not the annuities of today. Like I love variable annuities and fixed indexed annuities, and they're awesome for a lot of retirement income planning strategies. However, they're usually targeting age of 59 years old or older to draw those income streams. Many of the guarantees and the benefits on those contracts are designed for 59 plus. But the old school traditional annuity, like a pension, where you just write a check and an insurance company will write you a check for the rest of your life every month, no matter how long you live, might be worth looking at because you could get a guaranteed floor of income, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, something like that, that's guaranteed by an insurance company. You don't have any risk on how it's invested or anything like that ever again. You might not get cost of living adjustments on it, so you want to consider inflation, but having a secure income base that you can count on is probably a big part of a good FIRE strategy if you happen to be eligible for that plan.
Yeah, definitely.
Nerding out.
No, it's good. This is fun. We don't have many clients that have come to us with trying to achieve the FIRE method.
Yeah, it's new.
It's newer.
And frankly, if you are listening to this and you are interested in the FIRE method, or you think that you have already succeeded or are close to succeeding in this FIRE method, we'd love to learn what you're doing and how your thought process is. I mean, who wouldn't want to retire younger? Like most people, yes, okay, no, that's not fair because I don't want to retire younger. I love doing what I do. But there are, again, but I'm a weird kid. We already said that. So, fundamentally, some people, there's a lot of people out there that would love to retire as early as possible, or at least be financially independent as young as it possible. And if your goal is to be financially independent as young as possible, and you feel like you've actually achieved that in your 30s or even early 40s, we'd love to talk to you and love to know what you're doing and see if maybe our brains on your case might improve your situation, because that is the kind of stuff we do. We do think about all kinds of different investment strategies, and everybody's situation is a little bit different when it comes to retirement income planning. But I mean, we are retirement income planning specialists. That's pretty much
what
what we focus on doing.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we do on day to day. I'm happy you said maybe there are people out there that just want to do the financial independence early and maybe get rid of the R part of the FIRE. So it's just FI, I guess, financial independence early, which that might be someone's vision too. And says, Tim, I still plan to work for the normal, length of a duration of whatever, most people work in their profession, but I want to maybe get rid of my mortgage or, get rid of my car payments and get rid of my credit card debt. And just most of my income is just, discretionary income. And I'm not servicing all these debts and different stuff. So if I wanted to maybe go part-time on my job or slow down or change jobs and take a sabbatical for a little bit of time to travel, I have that option. Yeah. And I think that might align with more people than the FIRE. Right. Like Spot literally on. Retiring early, but people are like, no, I'll just work 2 days a week instead of 5. Or maybe I'll have a 3-day weekend, so I'm working 4 days a week, and I got Friday through Sunday off, and that that scratches the itch for me, and I'm happy with that. And I'm able to do that because I paid off my mortgage, or I don't have any car payments or credit card debt, or whatever that might look like for you.
Or you invested enough money that you're able to generate enough of an income stream that you are financially independent at a young age, which is another way to accomplish the same thing without necessarily having to be so frugal.
Yeah, exactly.
There are ways to do that. And actually, I'm really glad you articulated it that way, Tyler, because I mean, fundamentally, I would say that I fit into the FI movement, the financial independence early, not retiring early, because I love doing what I do for a living, which is a lot of fun. But I have reached financial independence at a pretty early age. I mean, I'm 48 years old, and I could have retired years ago, and I don't want to retire. And that didn't come from a frugal lifestyle choice. It's not like I have a frugal lifestyle. I enjoy my lifestyle the way it is. But investing successfully and managing enough assets that you build up wealth so that you can generate an income stream for yourself without having to work is a big part of financial independence. And at some point, nobody's paying you a paycheck anymore. That's what retirement is. But it's also what financial independence is. It's if I didn't have a paycheck tomorrow, do I have enough money coming in from what I've saved up to support the lifestyle that I have in mind for myself? And that lifestyle doesn't have to be frugal. It's easier if it's frugal, but it does have to be reasonable with the amount of wealth that you've accumulated, and that's that's absolutely attainable. And we assist people with that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got nothing else.
I got nothing else either.
I mean, if someone wants to call us and give us their situation and ask us questions about their unique situation, that's different. I mean, then we can have more meat to go off of, but got to speak in generalities on the podcast, people.
That's the nature of it. That's too true with compliance and everything else. That's how we have to do it.
Yep.
Well, we do need to give the just the answer, and then we'll move on to trivia. So why don't you give us just the answer today, Tyler? This will be fun.
It's been a while since I've done just the answer. All right. We're all about acronyms. JTA, just the answer for the FIRE, the Financial Independence Retire Early. So just the answer for the topic, the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. Is it realistic? Short answer is yes, it's realistic. Is it easy? No. I think the quick answer is no, it's not easy, but it is realistic. If it is something that you are considering for your situation and you're passionate about achieving financial independence and potentially retiring early, there are many steps that you probably want to take in a certain amount of order to set yourself up for success. Tim used the 70-30 analogy earlier, where 70% of your success in the FIRE movement is probably going to come from just being frugal and minimizing as much expenses as possible, with the remaining 30% coming from aggressive savings while you are still working, leading up to your line in the sand whenever you plan to pull the ripcord and actually retire, whatever that looks like for you. So I liked Tim's 70-30 analogy, and using the right investment vehicles and determining a budget for yourself is always also going to be important. If you're saving in pre-tax retirement accounts, 401ks, and things like that, there are going to have certain restrictions for taking money out of those accounts, especially if you're retiring early in the situation pre-59 and a half that the IRS has determined as normal retirement age. It could give considerations to other investment vehicles, maybe talk to an advisor or do your own research. Minimizing debts and making sure you have available cash flow from other sources is going to be important as well. And give it your best shot. We haven't had many people that we've come across achieve this. So if you are one of those, we want to meet you.
That's right.
is the short answer to that.
That's good. Good. Well done, Tyler.
What did I miss, though? I know I missed something.
You added a lot of meat into that just the answer. That's really good. Yeah. So I will say that there was a lot of hemming and hawing and additional detail and storytelling that was included in the longer version of the show, which I would recommend those just the answer people give the full version a listen. It's always a lot more fun anyway.
Yeah.
But well done.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Happy
Okay.
to do it.
Hit me with trivia, man. What do you got?
You ready for some trivia?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know everybody's like, probably if they watch this on YouTube, they can see that Tyler has the trivia thing on a piece of paper in front of him, and I'm sitting right across. So one would think that I might be able to just look down and see what the answers are, but it doesn't work that way because I can't see very well. So I
was going to say.
I have glasses, and without those glasses, I cannot see very well on what that white sheet of paper is.
My eyes don't work that well.
Not to mention
And
the fact that
Tim likes a good surprise.
I do like a good. That's exactly where I was going to go. I love a good surprise. I am not the kind of guy who wants to open the Christmas presents early. I do not want to read the last page of the book or see the end of the movie before we get there in a natural format. So I like the surprise. So hit me with it. What do you got?
Okay. In J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, what kind of creature is Golem originally?
Ooh. So I recall. I think Golem was. I remember he was like a normal human-looking kind of guy, but I felt like he was like a hobbit. But I don't know if he was small enough to be. He looked like a small human or a hobbit. He's one of the two. If I have to pick one of the two, I'm gonna go with a small human. Even I feel like he could have been a hobbit, but he just got turned into that creature, even over that long period of time with the ring and everything else. And I don't know that a hobbit would have been affected quite the same way that a human was affected. I don't know. Then again, maybe that's exactly what it was. It's a total guess. I'm just gonna go with small human, but it's probably hobbit.
It was Hobbit.
Oh well,
Should have gone with your gut, man.
You got to lose some of these every now and then. You know, it's like
I'm
that's
trying
how
to
you know it's
remember.
legit.
I feel like they did a flashback in one of the movies,
They
and
did.
they showed him and kind of how he became his decrepit little self.
Yeah, like him and one of his friends were sitting on the bank of this river, and then they were fishing, and they were having a great time, and enjoying life. And then all of a sudden, he finds the ring, and then they start fighting over the ring, and he does something inappropriate to the other person, other hobbit, and then and ends up just loving his ring and living down in the Misty Mountains, I think it is, for hundreds and hundreds of years until he ultimately gets his ring stolen by Bilbo, who stumbles upon it in the dark in the very beginning of The Hobbit. The Hobbit was actually one of my favorite. I would say it was my favorite book for a very long time. I don't even know if I would pick a different book. If somebody asked me today what my favorite book is, I probably would have said The Hobbit. I read it when I was 11 or 12 years old, and we were at a camping trip. And you know how like when you have your parents, they want you to do certain things when you're doing family stuff, and some of you were good kids and you did that, and some of you were not good kids and you didn't do that, and then some of you were somewhere in between. I was usually a good kid. I usually did the right stuff, but when we were camping, I just really wanted to be alone in that tent and read a freaking book, and that is not what family camping's about. So, but I do remember my parents actually allowed me to continue to binge read The Hobbit, which is what I did for like 2 days. I read it in like 2 or 3 days on a camping trip when I was on vacation with my family. So nice. It helped that I had 3 younger sisters and my mom and dad and everything else. And my dad would be busy fishing and enjoying the fishing stuff, and my mom would be busy with my sisters, so they would leave me alone and let me read, which you probably all benefit from now because that's what made me so smart with money. So I can help you with something smart about money whenever you're ready to get my brain on your case.
Nice transition, Tim, I will say. How do they reach us?
503-579-1000 is our phone number. That's the easy way to reach us. Of course, you can also go to our website, or websites, plural. Our primary website for working with us as financial advisory clients is clearfp.com. That's clear, F as in Frank, P as in Peter.com. Stands for Clear Financial Partners, our company name. And then we also have our Something Smart About Money. If you're not necessarily sure if you want to become a client or not, but you would like to get counted, we would love you to get counted. We're trying to teach 1 billion people on the planet something smart about money. Go to somethingsmartaboutmoney.com and just say, yeah, they taught me something smart about money today. And then that'll add it to the counter. And we're going to count all the way up to 1 billion. At least I will until the day I die, or until I hit 1 billion, whichever comes first. Hopefully I hit 1 billion first.
I have a feeling that most people haven't heard a lot about the FIRE movement. So if you listened, you probably learned something new about the FIRE movement that you didn't know before.
Fair.
You should probably go get counted.
So
go to the website, people.
Thank you. Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Please do that. So, I think that's it for today, Tyler.
I think so,
Any
Eddie.
final words of wisdom?
I think I got the last podcast, Final Words of Wisdom, or was it you?
I don't remember anymore. It's all blending together.
Yeah.
I'm old. Use your youth to share the wisdom with us.
If you have a frog, that one thing that you've been ignoring in your life and you've just been, putting it behind you because you don't want to do it, eat that frog. Eat that frog today, okay?
Eat the frog is an excellent
Yeah.
wise words of wisdom suggestion.
That's I got some frogs I got to eat.
You got to go eat some frogs. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good. If you're confused about the whole frog eating thing, just give us a call and we'll tell you more about it.
That's right.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on Clear Money Talk.
See you next time.
Investment advisory services are offered through Clear FP Advisors, LLC, or Registered Investment Advisor. Securities are offered through Clear FP Securities, LLC, member of FINRA IPC. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments may fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Timothy Claremont is licensed in your state, please contact his office. Clear FP Advisors, Clear FP Securities, and Clear FP Life LLC are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide tax and/or legal advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Clear FP, LLC NPN number 194283777 and or Clear FP Securities NPN number 197499604. Any discussion of general investing strategies or specific securities are for conversational purposes only and should not be taken as a guaranteed endorsement or recommendation.